for this Success 101, the basic concept is that in order to be successful, you have to be able to trust your intuition. All the successful people have quotes about that. That's been like the key, one of the major keys to their success is the ability to do that. Now, it's interesting that they can do it, but they don't know how to teach other people how to do it. They just say you have to do it. Well, that's all well and good, but if you have a lot of things in the way of trusting your intuition, then you will have a tendency to make decisions based on what are called the ego and emotional pain-based thoughts rather than on your intuitive thoughts. And so when you want to build your business, what you want to do is you want to be able to increasingly be able to access and utilize the intuitive ideas, because those are the ones that are really aligned with your truth, your reality, like the reality that you can step into, right? And the things that deflect you from that and cause you to go off in the wrong direction and waste time and energy and money and, you know, make all kinds of costly mistakes, these are caused by basically these ego and emotionally pain-based thoughts. There are 4 kinds of thoughts that influence our decisions. Practical thoughts, making a shopping list, getting directions, stuff like that's very, you know, normal. Everybody's got lots of those and they're useful. There's no emotional charge to them. And then there's our intuitive thoughts, which is when we get we just get a sort of, it just kind of comes to us. We don't create them. They come to us, right? And what they are is I like to call them remembering the future. They're like sensing what's coming, right? And then you align your actions and your decisions with that, and things tend to be successful because then you can actually step into that reality. But when you have ego-based thoughts, particularly these are the sneakiest ones, they are coming out of stories that we're making up in our mind that are generated or caused by some emotional energy, typically a reactive emotion, like an upset over some unmet expectation in the past, or the projection of some possible negative outcome onto the future. Oh, that probably won't work. You know, if I do that, something bad might happen. You know, these kind of things. So what we want to do is, for today's session, we want to get as much bang for the buck as we can get, right? And so what we're going to do is I'm going to test for how many like truly core energies there are that are really at the basis of the majority of your not useful decisions, not good decisions. Okay? And what we'll do is we'll clear those out, and then you know, we'll see how it goes for 2-3 weeks or something, and then we can touch base again and see if you're noticing any, you know, significant improvement. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. So I think this is a good way to proceed. There's an even better approach that we could take today. Nope. Very good. Okay, so it's okay if I muscle test on your behalf, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, good. So there are both in and out technique energies. We now call the core technique the in technique, and we call the C technique the out technique. I've been in China for most of the last 3.5 years, and the acronym names from human software engineering that you learned when you took that course, I like them. You know, they're cool, but they don't translate well into Chinese. So we simplified it so it'll translate easily into any language. We call it the in technique and the out technique. So these are easy, and they also describe the process. So it's kind of cool. Okay, so the in technique energies, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 of them. That's great. It's not like 20, right? So we'd be here all day.
Yeah.
And out technique energies, we have 1, 2. We have 2. Okay, 5. We can handle 5 in just this session, I'm sure. Now, the reason I'm doing it this way is what I've found is that when I request, or when you request, in a few moments we're going to use what we now call the locate technique. We used to call it the GPS, right? When we use the locate technique, we're going to make a very, very specific request, okay, very specific intention. And it's the specificity of what we tell the body to show us in the locate technique that allows us to access the real, cornerstone root causes of what causes the bad decisions, okay? So that's our approach. I mean, there are going to be plenty of other energies in there that might contribute in some more minor ways. And, later I'll tell you about some new stuff, wonderful new program that you could take advantage of that will help to just on an ongoing basis rapidly clean that stuff out. I've been doing something over the past several months with a group of about 35 people I'm training to be presenters of my work here in China, some of my top students here. And I put them on this program that I'll tell you about later. And their progress is like 10 times faster than anybody I've ever seen before. It's like, really, this is a supercharged, fast lane kind of thing. So I'll tell you about it because you're going to want to know about how to do that. Okay, so we're going to test for the first one. What I'll do is to guide you through the locate technique so that anybody who ends up watching this as a recording will kind of get the sense of what we're doing, right? And did you, by any chance, have a chance to look at that orientation video that I made? It's the front end of one of the other sessions. Well, actually, you watched the whole session. That had the orientation in it, right?
Yeah,
okay.
With Karen.
So you've already had that. So we don't have to go through all of that stuff, okay?
Okay.
And for people who are watching the recording, what I'd like you to do, those of you who are watching the recording, is put this video on pause or turn it off. Go to the Inner Greatness Global website. At the bottom of any page, you can do a search and search for the word orientation. And then you'll get a bunch of entries, and then it'll say orientation to the demo videos or something like that. And it's about a 12-minute orientation video. Watch that first, and then come back and continue with this recording. And what that'll do is that'll allow you to really understand much better what's going on while we're doing the session. Okay, so here we go. So go ahead and close your eyes, Michael, and just sit comfortably. And, with your eyes closed, you'll still notice sounds. You can feel your body sitting in the chair. And the other main thing that you'll be experiencing is having thoughts going through your mind. Now, what I'd like you to do is to just notice these thoughts from a little bit of a distance, just sort of observing them, rather than becoming kind of absorbed in them and lost to them. And partly the way to do that is just not to be concerned about the meaning or content of the thoughts just for now. So that's pretty easy to do. You just sort of watch them or observe them from a little bit of a distance. Now, as you do that, the thoughts are occurring in a background of silence. And that background of silence is your awareness. It's the very awareness you're using to experience all of this stuff. And normally, we don't pay much attention to our awareness because, in a certain way, it's kind of uninteresting because, there's nothing there. It's just silent, quiet. So we have a tendency to put our attention more on things, thoughts, images, perceptions, all this kind of stuff. But today, we're very interested in accessing the quietness of the pure awareness in the background. And the way you do it is you just look off to the side of the thought and notice the quietness that's there in the background. It's a little bit like looking up at the sky on a partly cloudy day. You can see the clouds, you can see the sky. And the way you see the sky is very simple. You just look off to the side of the clouds, and there it is. It's just always there in the background. Like that, Of course, it's just an analogy. We're not looking for clouds in the sky, but the thoughts are kind of like the clouds. The background of silence is analogous to the sky. So to access the silence, we just look off to the side of the thought when we have it and notice the background of silence. So go ahead and try that out. I know you've done this before, so not going to be difficult for you.
I'm there.
Okay, good. And, other thoughts will come along and kind of disrupt the quietness, but it's easy enough to just look off to the side of the new thoughts and access the quietness again. And so each time a new thought comes, if it's kind of disrupting the quietness, no problem. We're not trying to get rid of thoughts, so it's okay. We just look off to the side of the new thought and get another little taste of the quietness. And so we're getting a kind of a sequence of tastes of that silent, quiet emptiness in the background. And as you do that again and again, you'll start to get kind of a good feel for the quietness.
Okay.
Okay, good. So now just tell the body, show me the first in-technique energy that's at the real root cause of creating costly mistakes and getting in the way of my ideal success.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so you'll notice wherever it is that there's a kind of field of energy there.
Yeah, it's like a pressure on the chest.
Yeah, exactly. Pressure in the chest. Perfect. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, I'm testing on your behalf. Yeah, that's it. You got it. Now notice that there's a field of energy there. It's not just a point. Right? And in the field, there's a place where the energy feels stronger than elsewhere, typically right in the center. And if you bring your awareness a little bit closer to it, that becomes easy to notice. Get a sense of that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now, bring your awareness as close to that central, strongest part of the energy as you can without it being overwhelming. And simply notice that central, strongest part of it. Don't try to make it go away. Don't try and do anything to it. Just notice it.
Okay.
And normally we don't try to feel this kind of energy. So this will feel stronger and more intense the way we're doing it now because we're purposefully getting close to it and focusing on the strongest part. And so the level of intensity of the experience may seem to stay more or less the same for a while, but gradually it will start to soften and become less. And when it does, let me know.
It's done that.
Oh, terrific. So now we can afford to get a little closer to it. So do that sort of Google Maps thing of clicking in closer, bring your awareness closer to it, adjust the distance to get it just right, which means as close as you can without it being overwhelming. And again, just focus right into the center of the strongest part. And I think you already understand, Michael, but I'll say for the benefit of those watching that what you're doing is beginning the process of completing the experience of the energy that creates this sensation, because the energy was just too much to handle when you first experienced this, whatever it was, and we don't even need to know what it was. Thank you very much. It's a nice feature of what we do. So we just allow the feeling into the central, strongest part of it, and this is the most efficient way to complete the incomplete experience of the energy that we've been holding there in the body for who knows how long.
Feels like I hit some sort of wall or barrier, because like when I get closer to it or back off,
Yeah.
nothing changes.
Yeah. Okay. So what you can start with is letting go of the expectation that it should change within some kind of time frame.
Okay.
And remember now, we're dealing with we're dealing with probably some of the oldest and deepest traumas because we're asking for the real cornerstones of the problem, right? So it would be no wonder that it might take a little while to have the energy gradually subside. So don't be concerned about the timing. Just innocently notice it and don't have any agenda about trying to make it go away or change it in any form, because the just simple, innocent noticing of the central strongest part turns out to be the most efficient way to resolve or complete the incomplete experience of the energy that's there. And just as it softened the first time, eventually it will soften some more. I'm just going to check. There's a gatekeeper. No gatekeeper on this one. We're okay.
It's like the old saying, trying to force an outcome.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And with the pure awareness techniques, that doesn't work. In fact, I don't know if there's anything that works with. So maybe trying to get think of an example.
Started moving again.
There you go. Didn't take long. Just have to hang in there for a little while.
I believe it's finished.
Okay, let's check that. This one is complete. Very good. Good job. Excellent. If you're up for it, we can just move right on to the next one.
Okay.
Okay. So again, just tell the body, just tell it, show me the next one, and it will.
Okay.
Okay, and let's do the same procedure. Bring your awareness close to it. Find the center of intensity. Just innocently notice that. And it'll go through the same process of seeming to stay more or less the same level of intensity for a little while. And then it'll gradually start to soften. And when it does, do just like you did before, of kind of clicking in for a closer view. And just keep allowing it to get softer and then getting closer to it. And that'll be the best way to make it happen efficiently.
Still going.
Sorry?
Still going.
Okay. Great. And just let it fade off into nothing. Basic concept here is we're feeling the energy of the emotion so thoroughly, so completely, that there's nothing left to feel. That's the basic idea. Well, that sigh was a good indication of something kind of releasing. That's good.
Well, it's funny now because there's kind of like a pressure in the back, but one in the chest as well, and they're kind of like pulsing back and forth.
Okay. So the way to handle that is just to go wherever the energy is the strongest. And if it kind of ping pongs back and forth, that's okay. Just keep going to where the energy calls to you the strongest.
Okay. I believe that one's done.
Terrific. I'll just test for you. This one is complete. Yeah. Some more of it left someplace? No. Okay, terrific. 2 down, 1 to go. All right. Ready for number 3?
Yes.
Okay, let's go for it. Go back into the quietness and tell the body to show you the next one.
Okay.
Okay, and do the same in-technique process of getting as close to it as you can, putting your attention right into the center of the strongest part and just simply noticing it, and then getting closer to it as it gets softer, just as you've been doing. You're doing great.
Okay. I believe that one's done.
Okay, great. Okay, you can open your eyes. We'll take a break for a moment. Very good. So you're probably going to feel a bit lighter already. And I'm just taking the opportunity to do a little testing for you before we, while you were doing that. And what I'm testing is, as I was mentioning, we have 4 kinds of thoughts that influence our decision making: the practical, intuitive, ego-based, and emotionally pain-based. So I was checking for you before we started our session today, because your body remembers and I can test for whatever timing that was. Just before we started our session, your intuitive thoughts are influencing your decisions only about 18% of the time. Okay, or but has about an 18% level of influence on your decisions. The ego-based thoughts have about a 58% influence. Yeah, it's a lot, right? Now, most people are not aware of their ego-based thoughts because the ego is incredibly sneaky. I'll send you a link to one of the website recordings. I've got a little 2-minute video of experts like Deepak Chopra and David Hawkins and a bunch of psychology type experts talking about the nature of the ego. And they all say it's so sneaky. It's like it hides in the last place you would ever look for it, which is it hides within itself. Okay, it's basically in the mind. And so it makes you think that your ego's thoughts are your thoughts. You can't, most people can't tell the difference. And so you end up taking action on those ego-based thoughts because you've been having them all your life and it all just seems kind of normal, but then they don't lead to success. They lead to, wasting a lot of precious time, energy, money, effort, like that. And everybody has this. It's like this is kind of a universal problem, right? And I've had numbers higher than yours, so there are people even worse. But what we want to do is we want to clean those out, right? And get rid of them because we don't want to have that kind of energy influencing the basis of our decisions. So the emotional pain-based thoughts emotional pain-based thoughts are at 38, so that's fairly substantial as well. Now, as those get whittled down, and we'll recheck when we're done with these out technique energies that we're going to do in a minute, we'll recheck and see what it is just even after this, okay? And this will give us a kind of, it was like a baseline, and then we'll see some improvement, significant improvement, because we're going for the gold, we're going for the ones that have the most of that kind of impact. And then what we're going to do is, the proof of the pudding is kind of in the eating, right? Is the old saying. And so what we're going to do is give it some time, give it, a couple of weeks or a few weeks, whatever, let you sort of live into it and see what operating from a cleaner inner emotional landscape does for helping you to make more right decisions and get, start to be able to feel and appreciate the creative, intuitive ideas that are there. And this ought to have a really, really positive impact on what you're doing with your business. So definitely, this is a unique approach to helping people be more successful. It's like removing the inner barriers to success. It's very logical and right way to do it. It's just people haven't known how to do this before. So, you up for doing the out techniques?
Yes.
Okay, let's go for it. So go ahead and close your eyes again. and go back into the quietness. You know how to do that by looking off to the side of your thoughts. It's actually more richly present now because you've been there several times. Like at the end of each in technique, you're also in pure awareness. And so again, to be very precise about it, what we're looking for is the energies of these two, what are called reactive emotions, out technique energies. It's the energies that cause like the projections of possible negative outcomes onto the future and the upsets over previous unmet expectations. These are typically what these energies are. So when you have a sense of the quietness,
Yes.
okay, then just tell the body by having the thought, say, show me the first of these energies of the reactive emotions that are causing me to not be as successful as I could be.
Okay, I have that.
Okay, good. And so you'll notice that this energy sort of radiates out into the space around you, creating a sort of cloud or aura of energy. You get a sense of that?
Yes.
Yeah. And so the instruction is very simple, just to go see how big the cloud of energy is. And you can do that by just letting your awareness move out into the space around you further and further until you come to the place where the energy sort of fades off into the surrounding quietness.
Okay.
Okay, you get a sense of the quietness that's outside the energy field?
Yes.
Very good. So go a little bit deeper into the quietness, a little further away from the edge of the energy field. And this will help to get the distinction between the energy and the quietness even more clear.
Okay.
Easy to do that. Yeah, good. Okay. And now go much, much deeper into the quietness, quite far away from the energy field. Yeah, and allow yourself to notice how simply vast and limitless the quietness is. There's no end to it. Get a sense of that?
Yes.
Yeah, lovely. Nice place to hang out. So now, as you look back at the cloud of energy that you were inside of just moments ago, what's happening to it?
It's kind of pulsating.
Yeah, okay. And you may or may not be able to notice, it could be either way, that there's a kind of story there running in the background. You've been not fully aware that it's been there a lot, but it's a story of either some reaction to an unmet expectation, some upset, or the projection of some possible negative outcome onto the future. You get any sense of that?
Yes.
Okay. So whatever the story is, you have a sense of it. I don't even need to know, but we want to challenge the usefulness or validity or value of allowing that story to continue to be present in your awareness. And the way we do that, we just question a little bit, like, is having this story in your awareness and having this reaction, is this getting you what you want in life?
No.
No. Okay. And so would you say it's a good investment of your life energy to continue to allow this story to be present in your awareness?
No.
No. So you'll get a sense now that you've been kind of running this story almost like as a bad habit. Like it's not only not useful, it's actually damaging because it kind of drains your energy and it doesn't buy you anything. You
Correct.
get that? Right. So this actually makes it really easy to kind of unplug the power cord and just not allow this story to have any presence, any sort of real estate in your awareness. And the moment you do that, the energy, any remaining energy that was pulsating and the story itself, it collapses back into nothingness, because if there's no story, there's nothing to react to. Very good.
Correct.
So when the energy's gone, you can open your eyes.
Okay.
Okay, this one is complete. Hey, good job, man. Very good. You're getting them. Okay,
Yep.
four down, one to go. Excellent. Up for it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's go back into the quietness and tell the body again to show us the energy of the other one, the other out technique energy cloud that's at the root of this tendency to make ego emotionally pain-based thought influence decisions. These are particularly the ego kind.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so again, you'll notice that there's a cloud or aura-like structure to the energy that radiates out from the body, fills up the space around you. And just as we did before, go see how big it is and find the surrounding quietness.
Okay.
Okay, very good. So this one is now complete.
Well, I went out into pure awareness, so.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I had a minor distraction. That's right. So you're out in pure awareness. Go a
Yes.
little bit deeper. Go a little bit deeper to get the distinction between the energy and the, Go a little bit deeper into the quietness to get the distinction between the energy and the quietness even more clear. And then go much deeper into the quietness, quite far away from the energy field.
Okay.
And allow yourself to notice how vast and limitless the quietness is. Just enjoy that for a little bit. No upsets or anxieties out here.
Oh,
No. Very good. So now look back at the energy field you were inside of. And what's happening to this one?
going away.
Wonderful. Just what we want.
That one's complete.
Very, very good. Getting a sense of any story associated with that one?
No.
Okay, no problem. If it's gone, then good riddance. Okay, good. Open your eyes. Very good. So there's still something here in Michael's system in some way that we need to address. Yes, it's another in or out technique energy. No, it's an understanding of something that he needs to learn to do. Okay. So here's the thing. Because we want to get the most value out of this, we've gone for the gold. Huh? We've gone for getting access to the main key factors that have been undermining your success, right? And so we're going to recheck now those numbers that I gave you at the beginning, which was what I call a decision influences assessment. And the ego-based thoughts were at 58. They're now in the 40s. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 44. So that came down 14 points just from what we did. That's huge. Okay, it's an enormous change. Now it's still at 44, so it means there's still lots of ego-based thoughts influencing your decisions, but they're not as impactful as the ones that we just handled. Okay? But you will want to learn how to resolve those on an ongoing basis so you can chip away at the database of them. And I'm going to explain to you how to do that, okay, in just a moment. The emotional pain-based ones were at 38. They're now down into the 20s, 21, 2, 3, 4. Also down 14 points, 24, 38 down to 24. Superb. Yeah? I got a lot of garbage out of there in much less than an hour. This is great. Very, very good. Okay. All right. So, I've been noticing over the years that after people learn the pure awareness techniques, I may be talking with them about something, and they're talking about some aspect of their life, something that happened, and it's very clear that they could have used the pure awareness techniques on something that's come up, but they just didn't think of it. It's like they're so used to being sort of caught up in their drama or whatever that they think that's just normal, and they don't think that, I could have had a V8, right? It's like I could have had a pure awareness technique, right? Remember that old ad? I could have had a V8.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this for quite some years, actually, and I've been wanting to come up with something that would help people become more conscious of this unconscious, sneaky aspect of the ego that I was talking about that those experts, talk about. And the problem is that you can't sort this out with the mind. Okay? The mind is where the problem exists, right? And the mind is so influenced by the ego and emotionally pain-based thoughts that you can't tell whether those thoughts are influencing your figuring it out. So it's a kind of catch-22. It's like you can't get there from here. Okay? However, there's another way to do it. And the way to do it is to get out of the mind into the experiential wisdom and knowing of the body. Because the body can sense, even though it's quite subtle, it can sense the presence of the charge of the energy that's at the basis of those ego and emotionally pain-based thoughts. Okay? Now, it's quite subtle, so most people miss it. They're too absorbed in the thoughts. The thoughts have too much energy in them to be able to recognize what's going on in the body. So we have a wonderful, simple technique for being able to overcome this, and that you already learned. This is the muscle testing. Okay? Because what the muscle test does is it pulls you out of your mind and into your body. And it allows you to see what the body has to say about it. So there's this new practice that I've developed, new program. It's called the Freedom Practice. Okay? It's a great name because that's what it gives you. Right? And what you do is you start in the morning, there are two phases to it. Phase one is you start in the morning for maybe 20 minutes or so, and you go deep into the quietness, which you know how to do with the quietness technique. We used to call it the gap. And you just sit there, and it won't take long at all for thoughts to start to come. And what you do is you start to muscle test which of the 4 categories of thoughts each thought is. And when you get one that's ego-based, you immediately use the locate technique and you get access to the cloud of energy. You do the out technique and you get rid of it. And if it's an emotionally pain-based thought, you immediately use locate to get access to the in technique energy that's the basis of it. You do the in technique and you get rid of it. Okay? Now, what happens is that this phase one naturally evolves into phase two just in its own natural timing, which is after you've been doing this for quite some days, varies from person to person, you start to become increasingly sensitized to what the ego and emotionally pain-based thoughts actually feel like and what their nature is. Okay? And so what you start doing is you start during the day just spontaneously. You start during the day saying, that might have been an ego-based thought. Let me just check. And you check, sure enough it is. You immediately stop what you're doing, you do locate, you do the out technique, and you resolve it. Now, sometimes, occasionally, the thoughts will have both influences, both ego and emotional pain. And sometimes they'll even have more than one of those energies at the basis of that thought. And so you have to test for that, if it's in or out, and how many of them. Okay? So then you do the techniques and you resolve it. And I'll tell you, this is so amazing. The people who I've got doing this program, about 35 of them in this presenter training program here in China, they're reporting experiences of beginning to live with presence and non-reactivity, and seeing things in a whole new light, and beginning to exhibit kind of the symptoms of starting to live in pure awareness all the time, like in a month or two, that I didn't see in the people who are doing it the previous normal way of HSE. I didn't see for 1 or 2 years. So I mean, this is like super fast track acceleration of progress for people. I'm so delighted and impressed with this, that I've finally found a way to deal with this part of it where people have been so clueless as to just let these thoughts undermine their decisions and not even know that it's happening. So this is a very powerful way to make this unconscious process conscious. And it really gives us the first systematic methodology that I've ever even heard of for dismantling the illusions created by the ego and the emotional pain. So this is a great development. And I'm going to send you an email after we're done later today or tomorrow, as soon as I can get to it. I'll send you an email with some links to web pages where I've got some information about this. I've got that little 2-minute video of the experts talking about it. You can see that. It's kind of cool. And then I've got about a 20-minute webinar where I describe all of this.
Great.
It's called How to Make the Unconscious Conscious. And then there's an additional page on the Success 101, which goes into some detail of how we apply that to this topic. And so I'll send you all that. That's really a very, very good new resource. I'm extremely pleased with it. In fact, I'm changing my whole structure of my training program to put this training up front. This will be the first thing people learn. I take a course called Freedom from Illusions. They'll learn all 4 of the in, out, locate, and quietness techniques, and they'll learn how to do muscle testing. And I'm going to have an online version of that. And I also have, by the way, you may know about this already from some of the other posts you read, but I have a free app called Awaken Your Inner Greatness. It's in both the Apple and Android app stores. And you can download it, and it's got this kind of cool audio player interface, user interface. You just swipe anywhere on the screen to the right, and it gives you the next audio instruction for doing the technique. So you can guide yourself through them at your own pace without having to remember what you have to do. It's really cool.
Cool.
I'm very, very happy with it. It's got all kinds of, you can go back, you can pause and resume, you can play the last one. It's really, really cool. So it's got those 4 techniques plus the wholeness technique, which is what we used to call agape, where you go out beyond the edge of the universe into pure awareness. It's very, very nice kind of guided meditation type of experience. So I'll send you all that and some information about this. And what would be really good to do would be to get you in one of these programs where you're starting to do the freedom practice daily. And what you do is we're going to set up a group. We'll use a program like WeChat or something where everybody can post there. And what you do is each day you make a freedom practice report. You make a report on what happened, just a few sentences. And that gives me a chance to mentor everybody in the group every day. And that's terrific because I can see the stuff that you can't, because I'm already outside of it. And of course, this is my field and I know it very well. So even if it's some subtle thing in let's say, I think you might have some ego-based thought on that one, check that out. So this is proving to be an extremely powerful and effective program, and I'm just delighted to have discovered it. So I'm just now working on the details of the course, and I'm going to announce it fairly soon. I'm going to make it inexpensive so everybody can participate, and then there'll be an ongoing monthly involvement. And this way we can really, really accelerate people's progress. And I don't think there's anything that I can think of that will do more for removing the barriers to success than this.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, it's really quite an awesome thing. So I'll share that with you, and we can go ahead and touch base in 2 or 3 weeks here, and just kind of see how things are going. Yeah. And if you notice things in the coming days ahead, like, oh, I made a different decision here than I would have in the past, or oh, I can see something I couldn't see before. Anything like that, that feels like it's some positive result of what we've done today. Make a little note of it so we can kind of discuss those points when we talk again.
Okay, great.
Okay, fantastic. Hey, great job, man.
Oh, thanks, Tom.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much for volunteering, and we'll talk to you in 2 or 3 weeks. We can make an appointment by email.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.